The vast silence of deep space was shattered by a single, ragged transmission. The Thalkir listening station, nestled within the orbital rings of Zinthar Prime, flickered with alarm as the distorted signal streamed in. The message was chaotic, frantic bursts of noise interspersed with strange patterns that defied their most advanced decoders. But one fragment stood out. "This is Earth. We are under threat. Unknown forces. Need help." For 10 millennia, the Thalkir Dominion had maintained peace among the stars. Their sprawling empire spanned thousands of systems built on wisdom, unity, and a shared vision of cosmic harmony. Yet this message felt like a flare from the edge of a storm, a warning from a world they barely understood. Commander Lysar, the Dominion's most experienced observer, was dispatched with a sleek reconnaissance vessel to investigate. The journey to Sol was long, crossing star clusters and nebulae. But when Lysar's ship finally entered Earth's system, the strange, violent heartbeat of the planet was undeniable. From orbit, Lysar's instruments captured images of a world scarred by fire and conflict. Vast deserts stretched where ancient forests once stood, oceans bore the weight of countless ships and debris, and sprawling cities glowed like fractured gems under the twilight sky. The planet was alive, chaotic, raw with untamed energy and will. As Lysar's ship descended through the atmosphere, the complexity of human civilization unfolded. Towering spires of metal and glass pierced the clouds, while great swaths of land lay barren, abandoned after decades of war. Radio chatter crackled with a dozen languages and dialects, each competing for attention like a dozen rivers roaring toward the sea. Lysar observed human history compressed into decades. Wars, waged with brutality and cunning. Revolutions sparked by ideas both noble and terrible, and an indomitable spirit that refused to yield. They fought amongst themselves endlessly, yet built wonders and sent machines to the stars. From the inside of their ship, Lysar glimpsed the first fragile steps humans took beyond their homeworld. The first satellites launched decades ago followed by the slow but relentless push to colonize the Moon, Mars, and beyond. The humans were reckless but innovative, their technology primitive yet terrifyingly effective. Their ships were jagged and scarred, unlike the polished elegance of Thalkir vessels, proof that humans valued function and survival above all. What struck Lysar most was the paradox. Humans were both creators and destroyers, capable of kindness and cruelty in equal measure. They clung to traditions as old as their species, yet adapted faster than any other race Lysar had encountered. For all their flaws, there was an unyielding fire inside them, a force that would not be extinguished. From orbit, Lysar watched, a shuttle launch from Earth, the engines roaring with a fury that seemed to shake the stars themselves. The shuttle was bound for Mars, a battered red orb where humans had already established fragile outposts. This was no peaceful exploration. The ships were armed, the soldiers wary, and every movement calculated as if expecting an enemy. The most disturbing revelation came when Lysar's ship detected a faint energy signature, moving stealthily between Earth's colonies and the asteroid belts beyond. These ships were armed not just for defense but for war. Lysar recorded everything, transmitting observations back to the Dominion. The report was stark. Primitive, violent, yet evolving beyond expectation. They do not fear death. They embrace, and they will not bow to galactic order. Prepare for inevitable conflict. Within the Dominion's halls, the Council debated the threat posed by humanity. Some argued Earth was a cancer, reckless, destructive, dangerous. Others saw potential allies if only humans could be guided away from their violent impulses. Lysar was summoned for a final report. Standing before the Council's shimmering dais, they spoke without hesitation. "We have witnessed a species unlike any other. They are unpredictable, driven by passion and survival instincts. Their war is constant, against themselves, against nature, against the stars. But they are growing. They will soon reach beyond their cradle, and when they do, we must be ready." The Council voted to observe further, but to send an envoy, a gesture of peace and a warning. Back on Earth, Lysar's ship hovered in orbit, watching a small group of humans gathered under a flag that bore a symbol unknown to the Thalkir, a circle with a single star at its center. They debated fiercely, unaware of the silent alien eyes that watched from above. Lysar knew that history was about to turn. This moment, this fragile spark of human ambition, would ignite a firestorm across the stars. And somewhere deep in space, the signal that had started it all faded into silence. The envoy ship Valoris glided silently through the void toward Earth, sleek and gleaming with the signature elegance of Thalkir design. On board, Ambassador Thalvek prepared his message of peace and offered to share knowledge, technology, and guidance for humanity's fledgling steps into the stars. The Dominion hoped to prevent what their scouts had feared, a war born not of hate but misunderstanding. But as the Valaris approached Earth's orbit, the unthinkable happened. The ship's sensors blinked with warnings. Multiple high-velocity objects closing in fast. Before Thalvek could issue a response, a series of pulses erupted, striking the ship's shields. The Valaris shuddered violently as its systems faltered. Explosions rippled along the hull, throwing the ship into chaos. Then, darkness. On the surface, a small black ops station nestled within a forgotten asteroid belt marked the origin of the attack. EarthCorp, the largest private military corporation on Earth, claimed responsibility. They had intercepted Thalvek's approach and decided the message was a threat to their control, to their ambitions. At EarthCorp's command center, Commander Jackson Maury allowed himself a grim smile as the attack succeeded. Let the Dominion see what they're dealing with. Humans don't negotiate from weakness. Back in orbit, debris from the Valaris scattered into the void. Only a few emergency pods ejected, drifting silently. Among them was Ambassador Thalvek, his body bruised but alive, captured by an EarthCorp patrol ship. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. The official broadcast called it an accidental collision, but rumors whispered the truth. The Thalkir envoy had been deliberately destroyed. Human factions erupted with outrage, suspicion, and fear. Was this a prelude to invasion? Or a test of strength? Amid the chaos, Leah Ferris, a young diplomat from the United Terran Alliance, a coalition of governments seeking peaceful progress, watched in horror. She had spent years advocating for open dialogue with alien civilizations, believing humanity could learn and grow beyond its violent history. Now, that hope seemed fragile, crushed beneath the boot heel of EarthCorp's greed. Leah's world was complicated. The alliance was powerful but fractured. Some factions called for immediate retaliation. Others urged caution. Leah pleaded for calm. War with the Thalkir would be catastrophic, she argued in tense council meetings. We barely understand them. Our strength lies in unity, not blind aggression. But EarthCorp's influence was growing. Their mercenaries controlled strategic colonies and resource-rich asteroids. Their CEO, a shadowy figure known only as Malkari, believed humanity's destiny was dominance, not diplomacy. Meanwhile, Ambassador Thalvek found himself imprisoned in a cold, sterile cell aboard an EarthCorp warship. His mind raced. This act of aggression was unlike anything in the Dominion's history. The humans were unpredictable, brutal, and fiercely protective of their sovereignty. If this was humanity's first strike, what would come next? Yet even in captivity, Thalvek glimpsed the fractured nature of humans. Guards argued about politics, whispered rumors of resistance movements, and debated the morality of their actions. It was a society at war with itself, yet united in one thing: fear of the unknown. In orbit above Earth, Thalvek sent a covert message, a beacon of warning. We come as peace, but we will respond to war. Your actions endanger all life in this system. Below, the war drums began to beat. EarthCorp deployed covert strike teams to seize Thalkir outposts scattered across the solar system's outer reaches. The Thalkir, caught off guard by human aggression, scrambled their fleets to protect their assets. Skirmishes erupted around Mars colonies and asteroid mining stations. The elegant, disciplined Thalkir ships clashed with human fighters, fast, jagged, and ruthless. Leah Ferris joined a desperate diplomatic mission, hoping to broker a ceasefire. She traveled aboard a heavily guarded Alliance cruiser to a neutral station in the asteroid belt, where Thalkir and humans could meet under watchful eyes. The talks were tense and fragile. Thalkir commanders demanded the release of Ambassador Thalvek and a halt to human aggression. Human representatives accused the Dominion of patronizing interference in Earth's sovereignty. At the negotiation table, Leah faced EarthCorp's military liaisons, cold, pragmatic, and unwilling to compromise. Malkari's influence was everywhere, his shadow looming over every decision. In a private moment, Leah confronted her own fears. Could humanity rise above its violent tendencies? Or was EarthCorp's ruthless vision the inevitable future? The Council. Chamber's doors slammed open as a messenger burst in. Thalkir forces have intercepted a new EarthCorp strike fleet heading for the Saturn colonies. Fighting has broken out. The fragile truce shattered. Leah's heart sank as war spiraled out of control. Back in captivity, Ambassador Thalvek pondered the consequences of a single act of violence. The message he would send next was clear. The Dominion would respond, with overwhelming force if necessary. Humanity had crossed a line, and the stars, once silent watchers, began to tremble. The void between the stars crackled with the fury of war. Where once there was cautious diplomacy, now only ruthless calculation remained. The Thalkir dominions. Ancient fleets surged toward the outer colonies, seeking to contain the rapidly spreading conflict. But the humans were no longer the naive primitives the Dominion had observed. They were evolving, learning faster, fighting harder, and striking with an unpredictability that shook even the most seasoned Thalkir commanders. Commander Kale Dren, a battle-hardened veteran of the Dominion's fleet, stared grimly at the viewscreen aboard the flagship Serenthos. The display showed dozens of human warships darting between asteroids, their jagged silhouettes lit by bursts of energy weapon fire. These were not mere colonial skirmishes. These were coordinated strikes designed to cripple and confuse. They don't fight like any species we know, Kale muttered. No formations, no honor in battle, just pure, raw aggression. His tactical officer, a young Thalkir named Vera, nodded. Their fighters use guerrilla tactics and AI-assisted targeting. They adapt to every move we make within seconds. Their drones swarm like locusts, overwhelming our shields. Kale's gaze hardened. We've underestimated them. We must learn from this war or it will consume us. Far from the Dominion fleet, EarthCorp's flagship Iron Fangs loomed like a beast ready to strike. Its hull was scarred with battle, wounds but bristling with new weapons, electromagnetic pulse cannons, bioengineered soldier squads, and swarms of autonomous attack drones. Captain Jackson Mare paced the command deck, a fierce glint in his eyes. Show them what it means to fight like a human, he ordered, voice sharp as a blade. We don't have the luxury of honor or patience. This is survival. Below decks, soldiers prepped experimental exosuits that enhanced their strength and reflexes. Engineers calibrated AI combat pods programmed to learn and evolve tactics on the fly. EarthCorp's war machine was brutal and efficient, a perfect reflection of humanity's fractured will. Amid the chaos, Leah Ferris worked tirelessly with the United Terran Alliance trying to hold together what little peace remained. But every ceasefire was shattered by new attacks, surprise raids on colonies, sabotage of supply lines, and mercenary forces hired by EarthCorp wreaking havoc. Leah's latest mission took her to Mars, where a battered human outpost faced a siege by a Thalkir fleet. The colony's commander, General Rhea Voss, greeted Leah with tired eyes and a clenched jaw. They're trying to starve us out, Rhea said grimly. Our supplies are running low and morale is breaking. The Thalkir believe if they outlast us, we'll surrender. Leah looked out over the red dust plains dotted with defense turrets and damaged landing pads. We won't surrender, but we need a new strategy, one that unites us rather than tears us apart. Rhea shook her head. Unity is a luxury in this war. EarthCorp's influence grows. They want victory at any cost, even if it means tearing humanity apart. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed as the colony's sensors detected a swarm of Thalkir fighters weaving through the thin atmosphere. Battle stations, Rhea barked. Soldiers scrambled to their positions. Leah's heart pounded as she watched human and alien war machines clash over the Martian horizon. Explosions rocked the base as plasma bolts tore through the sky. Human drones darted and weaved, dodging energy blasts, while Thalkir cruisers unleashed devastating volleys. It was a brutal ballet of destruction, neither side willing to yield. Amid the chaos, Leah found herself coordinating rescue efforts for trapped civilians, her diplomatic role swallowed by the harsh realities of war. Hours later, as the dust settled, the human defenders had held the colony, but at a steep cost. Supplies were critically low and reinforcements uncertain. Leah met with General Rhea in the command center. "We can't fight this way, piece by piece. If EarthCorp continues to dictate the war, there will be no peace left to save." Rhea nodded grimly. "We need to harness every resource, and that means embracing the technologies we once feared." Leah swallowed hard. "You mean the bioengineered soldiers? The AI combat units?" Rhea's eyes gleamed with determination. "Yes, if we don't become what they fear, we'll be crushed." Back in orbit, Thalkir ships regrouped, recalibrating their tactics to counter the relentless human innovation. Commander Kale summoned his commanders. "They fight with fury and cunning, but they also bleed. We will learn their weaknesses and exploit them." But as the battle lines solidified, the war's true nature became clear. This was no ordinary conflict between species. It was a clash of ideals, evolution, and survival. Humans, driven by chaos and resilience, pushed beyond every limit. The Sea, Thalkir, anchored in tradition and discipline, struggled to adapt. Meanwhile, far from the front lines, a shadowy figure watched the unfolding war with cold interest. Malkari, EarthCorp's enigmatic CEO, sat in his command throne aboard a hidden station, fingers steepled. "Let them bleed each other," he murmured. "War is the crucible of progress, and we will forge humanity's destiny in fire." The stars, once silent witnesses, now bore the scars of a brutal awakening. The war was far from over, and humanity's iron fangs had only just begun to bite. The cold vacuum of space hid secrets deeper than any star system. Among the shattered remnants of the Krivna's once great empire, whispers traveled on the solar winds, rumors of an uprising, a fragile alliance formed in the shadows of war. Leah Ferris received the encrypted message aboard the Celestial Dawn, the United Terran Alliance's flagship patrolling the asteroid belt. The message was brief, but its meaning sent a chill down her spine. "We seek parley. The Krivna rebellion wishes to meet. There is knowledge you do not possess. Weapons, maps, power. The Krivna were legendary, an alien race once enslaved, and broken by the Dominion's expansion centuries ago. Their technology was considered forbidden, their knowledge dangerous. To ally with them was a gamble that could tip the scales of the war, or doom humanity to further chaos." Leah debated the risks in a tense council meeting on Mars. General Rhea Voss voiced her skepticism. "We don't know their true intent. This could be a trap set by EarthCorp or the Dominion to fracture us, but others saw opportunity. EarthCorp's reach was growing, and the war was bleeding humanity dry. If the Krivna offered weapons and star maps to hidden regions, it might give humans the edge they desperately needed." Against the opposition, Leah took a hard stance. "We can't win this war alone. If we fail to explore every path, we condemn ourselves." With uneasy agreement, Leah led a small delegation into the depths of the asteroid belt to meet the Krivna representatives on a neutral station known as the Shattered Spire. The Shattered Spire was a relic of the old empire, a vast hollowed asteroid converted into a labyrinthine hub of shadow traders, exiles, and rebels. Its halls echoed with the hum of forbidden technology and whispered deals. Waiting for Leah was Krelna, a tall, sinewy Krivna leader with eyes like molten silver and a voice that carried the weight of centuries. "We have watched your war," Krelna said as they sat in a dimly lit chamber. The Thalkir dominate, but your species burns brighter. We offer what you seek, weapons forged in the crucible of rebellion, star charts to forgotten systems. But our price is trust, and that you fight not for conquest but survival. Leah felt the gravity of the moment. If we betray that trust, the war will consume us all. Krelna nodded. The echoes of your violence reach even us. We have suffered much, but in this war, survival means alliance. As the meeting progressed, it became clear that the Krivna had access to technologies that could turn the tide. Stealth systems that rendered ships nearly invisible, weaponry that disrupted energy shields, and maps to hidden wormholes allowing surprise strikes. But the price was not only trust. The Krivna demanded a seat at the future's table, a partnership, not subjugation. When Leah's delegation returned to the Celestial Dawn, the mood was grim. Some factions of humanity welcomed the new allies as a path to victory. Others feared losing control. EarthCorp saw the alliance as a threat to its dominion and moved swiftly to sabotage it. Meanwhile, within the dominion, news of the Krivna's involvement spread like wildfire. The Thalkir saw the rebellion's resurgence as a dangerous wild card, one that might destabilize the delicate balance they sought to maintain. Their commanders debated whether to crush the Krivna uprising before it could strengthen human forces, or risk facing a coalition that could challenge their supremacy. Amidst this turmoil, Leah developed a fragile friendship with Krelna. Despite their differences, both shared a weary hope that the war would end not in annihilation, but in understanding. In the shadowy corners of the shattered spire, Leah also uncovered hints of EarthCorp's covert operations. Spies infiltrated the rebel networks, fueling distrust and chaos. Sabotage missions were underway, targeting Krivna outposts and supply lines. One night, Leah intercepted a communication between EarthCorp agents. The message was chilling. Destroy the Alliance before it takes root. Use any means necessary. Realizing the stakes, Leah confronted EarthCorp's representatives in a tense standoff on the Celestial Dawn. Your actions threaten all of humanity, she warned. This war isn't won by domination, but by unity. Captain Jackson Mari's voice came through the comms, cold and unwavering. Unity is a weakness, strength is survival. EarthCorp's vision will prevail. The rift between factions deepened, pushing humanity closer to internal collapse even as the war with the Dominion escalated. Meanwhile, the Krivna rebels prepared for their first joint operation with human forces, a daring raid on a Dominion supply convoy. Success would prove the alliance's worth. Failure could shatter fragile hopes. As Leah stood before the assembled troops, she spoke with quiet conviction. This is more than a battle. It is a chance to reshape our future. Together, we can defy the darkness. The fleet launched into the void, a motley armada of human and Krivna vessels weaving through asteroid fields toward their target. The stars bore witness to a fragile hope, an alliance forged in shadows, shining defiantly against the gathering storm. The cold void outside the command deck's viewport was a canvas of stars and distant suns. Against this silent backdrop, the joint human-Krivna fleet advanced cautiously toward the Dominion convoy, an armored serpent of warships laden with vital supplies and advanced weaponry. Leah Ferris stood among the fleet commanders aboard the Bear, Celestial Dawn, her fingers tightening around the railing. The weight of their mission pressed on her chest like a stone. This raid wasn't just a military strike. It was a symbol, a fragile promise that humanity could forge unity across ancient divides. The ships flickered with energy signatures, sensors humming as they slipped closer to the convoy's patrol zone. Krelna's voice crackled in Leah's earpiece, calm and measured despite the tension. We strike swiftly, hit their supply tenders first, disrupt and withdraw before they can regroup. Commander Ria Voss's battle-hardened voice followed. Our human fighters will engage their escort. Cover the Krivna stealth ships, we can do this. The fleet moved into formation, shadows among shadows. Then, without warning, alarms screamed across the Celestial Dawn. The Dominion's convoy had detected them. Energy beams lanced through the darkness, lighting the void with flashes of blue and red. The battle erupted in a chaotic dance of fire and metal. Krivna stealth ships slipped through the enemy lines, their cloaking devices shimmering as they unleashed precision strikes on the supply tenders. Explosions bloomed silently in space, and vital cargo drifted adrift, disabled or destroyed. Human fighters spiraled into the fray, dodging plasma bursts and retaliating with relentless ferocity. Leah watched the tactics unfold, awed by the seamless coordination between species long separated by distrust. Yet the Dominion was no pushover. Their warships moved with ruthless efficiency, concentrating fire on the largest human vessels. Several fighters exploded in brilliant flashes, scattering debris across the void. Suddenly, the celestial dawn shuddered violently. A massive plasma blast had struck its hull, and emergency alarms wailed. Leah gritted her teeth, steadying herself as damage. Reports flooded in. "This isn't just a raid," Krellna's voice warned urgently. "They're deploying reinforcements." From beyond the convoy, a fleet of Thalkir warships appeared like predators closing in. The tide was shifting. Commander Voss barked orders. "Fall back. Protect the retreat." But retreat wasn't easy. Human and Krivna ships struggled to break formation under heavy fire. The void erupted with desperate maneuvers, damaged vessels limping through the chaos. Leah's mind raced. This mission had to succeed, or humanity's fragile alliance would crumble. In the heat of battle, Leah received a coded message. EarthCorp operatives had launched a covert strike team to sabotage the alliance from within, targeting Krivna, command ships, and spreading misinformation. Her stomach twisted. The war wasn't just against the Dominion anymore. It was unraveling humanity's own fragile bonds. With grim determination, Leah transmitted a warning to Krellna. "Prepare for internal threat. EarthCorp sabotage teams aboard. We must hold. Together." Krellna's response was fierce. "They will find no weakness in us." The celestial dawn shuddered again as a missile struck the engineering bay. Fires broke out. Crew members scrambled to contain the damage. Leah's heart pounded. She moved to rally the ship's officers. "We can't lose this ship. Hold every system. Fight for every inch." As the battle raged, Leah found herself face to face with Captain Jackson Mare in a tense communication link. "You don't understand the stakes," Mare snarled. "This war is about control, about power. Your fragile alliances won't save you." Leah's voice was steady. "If power means annihilation, then humanity loses everything. We fight for survival, for a future." Mare's connection ended, abruptly, but Leah's resolve only hardened. Suddenly, the celestial dawn sensors detected a massive surge. A previously undetected Dominion dreadnought, its energy weapons charging for a devastating strike. Commander Voss gritted her teeth. "We can't outrun that firepower. We have to stand and fight." The dreadnought's massive plasma beam slammed into the lead Krivna ship, tearing through its shields. The vessel erupted in a storm of fire and debris, dragging nearby ships into the chaos. Leah watched in horror as allies fell. The fleet's retreat became a desperate fight for survival. With final effort, the human and Krivna commanders coordinated a risky gambit, a concentrated strike on the dreadnought's power core, using a squadron of elite fighters and Krivna cloaked ships. The celestial dawn led the charge, weaving through lethal fire to deliver the decisive blow. A massive explosion rocked the dreadnought. Its hull cracked and ruptured. Then it shattered into fragments, drifting silently in space. Victory was hard won, and the fleet was battered but intact. As the surviving ships limped away from the battlefield, Leah allowed herself a moment to breathe. But the war was far from over. The breaking point had come, and the fragile hope of unity now rested on whether humanity could withstand not only an alien empire's wrath, but also the poison within. The celestial dawn drifted through the void, wounded but alive. The scars of battle stretched across its hull, silent testaments to the fierce engagement with the Dominion's dreadnought. But inside, a different kind of war raged. One not of plasma fire, but of suspicion and fractured loyalties. Leah Ferris moved through the corridors, the weight of command heavy on her shoulders. The victory had been Pyrrhic, and the fragile alliance she'd fought to build teetered on the edge of collapse. Whispers of distrust curled through the crew like smoke, a lingering poison from EarthCorp's sabotage and the unrelenting pressure of war. In the dim light of the communications bay, Leah met with Krelna and General Ria Voss. The three leaders represented a coalition barely held together by mutual necessity. Krelna's silver eyes flickered with weariness. Our people question our alliance with humans. They fear EarthCorp's influence. They believe we are being used. Ria's jaw was tight, and within the human ranks, many blame the Krivna for the losses. Old prejudices die hard. Leah's voice was steady but low. If we fracture now, the Dominion will crush us all. We must hold firm, even if it means confronting those who would tear us apart from within. Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent report. EarthCorp operatives had been discovered attempting to assassinate a Krivna commander aboard the Celestial Dawn. The saboteurs were swiftly detained, but the message was clear. The war was no longer just between species, but a battle for humanity's soul. Later, Leah stood before the ship's crew, her words a balm against growing fears. We fight not just to survive, but to create a future where distrust and hatred no longer rule. But that future demands trust from us all. Among the crowd, a young human soldier named Callum Lockhart clenched his fists. He had lost friends. To the Dominion, to sabotage, to the endless violence. His faith in the Alliance was fragile. In the shadows of the lower decks, Callum met with others who whispered discontent, distrust of the Krivna, anger at EarthCorp's dominance, fear of being pawns in a war they barely understood. They want us to follow their rules, Callum muttered. But the real enemy is EarthCorp. They're turning us against each other. His words found resonance among many. The seeds of rebellion were planted. Meanwhile, in a hidden chamber aboard the Celestial Dawn, Ambassador Thalvek remained a captive under heavy guard. His captors kept him isolated, yet his mind remained sharp. He listened to intercepted transmissions, piecing together the unraveling human alliance. Though a prisoner, Thalvek understood the fracturing within humanity mirrored the Dominion's own struggles, pride, fear, and ambition threatening to destroy the delicate order. In a rare moment of contact, Leah visited Thalvek, guarded and cautious. "Ambassador," Leah said softly, "this war is tearing us apart from the inside. We need a way to end it, but trust is in short supply." Thalvek's gaze was steady. "Your species is young, but your capacity for both destruction and compassion is vast. The choice is yours." She nodded, knowing that to end the war, humanity would have to overcome not only the Dominion, but its own demons. Back on the Celestial Dawn, a crisis erupted. A faction within the crew attempted to free the detained EarthCorp saboteurs, sparking violent confrontations. Leah and Krelna worked desperately to quell the unrest. "This infighting will destroy us," Krelna warned. "We face extinction unless we unite." Ria called for security lockdowns, ordering troops to secure key areas. The ship trembled, not from external fire, but from the storm brewing within. Its walls. In the midst of chaos, Callum Lockhart found himself torn. His anger at EarthCorp burned, but so did his fear of alien influence. A whispered promise from a Krivna sympathizer offered him a choice: to help bridge the divide or deepen it. That night, Leah stood on the observation deck, staring into the abyss. The stars were distant, cold, and indifferent. But she clung to a fragile hope that humanity's greatest battle was not in the skies but within itself. The war raged on, but the true fracture might decide the fate of all. The air inside the Celestial Dawn was thick with tension, a palpable force pressing down on every soul aboard the ship. The fragile threads holding the Alliance together had frayed to the breaking point, and the crew felt it in every whispered conversation and guarded glance. Leah Ferris paced her quarters, the weight of command heavy on her. Every decision now rippled with consequences that could shatter the coalition or forge it anew. The sabotage, the near mutiny, and the distrust among species were not merely battles to be fought in space. They were wars for hearts and minds. A sharp knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Krelna entered, his silver eyes reflecting exhaustion and resolve. "We cannot continue like this," he said bluntly. "Our people question why they risk their lives for humans who cannot even trust each other." Leah nodded. "Earth Corp's influence poisons everything. They want us divided." Krelna's gaze hardened. "Then we must confront them, openly." Just then, a message flashed on the command console. EarthCorp had dispatched a fleet to intercept the Celestial Dawn. Their goal was clear: to seize control of the ship and end the Alliance by force. Leah's heart sank. The war was no longer just with the Dominion, but an internal civil war for humanity's soul. "Prepare for battle," she ordered, voice steady, despite the storm inside her. As EarthCorp's warships closed in, Leah and Krelna convened an emergency council with General Ria Voss and senior officers. The mood was grim. "We face enemies on all fronts," Ria said. "EarthCorp will stop at nothing." "We need to unite the crew," Leah said. "If we fall now, everything we've fought for is lost." Callum Lockhart, the young soldier who had wrestled with his loyalties, stepped forward. "I want to help. I can reach those who doubt. Bring them back." Leah studied him. "This war demands courage, Callum. Are you ready?" He nodded. More than ever. The battle erupted without mercy. EarthCorp's sleek, heavily armed frigates thundered toward the Celestial Dawn, unleashing a barrage of plasma and missiles. The Celestial Dawn shook under the assault but held firm, its human and Krivna crews fighting side by side in desperate defense. In the corridors, Callum moved through the ranks, speaking to soldiers and engineers, reminding them of the stakes, urging trust over fear. Slowly, whispers of hope replaced the murmur of dissent. Meanwhile, Leah coordinated the defense from the command deck, her every order a lifeline. Krelna led a daring boarding party to disable EarthCorp's flagship, hoping to cripple their command. The fight was brutal. The Celestial Dawn's shields flickered as systems were pushed to the limit. Fires broke out and casualties mounted. In a tense moment, EarthCorp's boarding forces breached the Celestial Dawn's lower decks. Hand-to-hand combat erupted in the narrow halls. Callum fought fiercely, torn between his past anger and his newfound resolve. "Remember what we fight for," he shouted to his comrades. "For survival, for unity." His words sparked a rally. The crew pushed back the invaders, regaining control of critical systems. Above, Krelna's team sabotaged EarthCorp's flagship's power core. A massive explosion rocked the enemy ship, forcing its retreat. The battle ended with the Celestial Dawn battered but victorious. The attempted coup had failed. In the quiet aftermath, Leah addressed the crew, her voice carrying through the ship's comms. "We have faced darkness not only outside but within. Today we chose unity over division. But the war is far from over." Krelna joined her at the command deck, offering a rare smile. "The Alliance stands stronger because of this trial. But the victory was tempered by the cost. The Alliance's foundations were shaken, and EarthCorp's shadow loomed larger than ever. Leah knew that to survive the Dominion's wrath and humanity's own demons, they would need more than weapons. They would need trust, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will." As the Celestial Dawn set course for the next battlefront, the stars seemed to pulse with a warning. The true test of humanity's destiny was only beginning. The silence that settled over the Celestial Dawn after the battle was almost deafening. The stars outside twinkled coldly, indifferent to the scars etched deep into the hull of the ship and the hearts of those aboard. Leah Ferris stood at the observation deck, staring into the endless black. Behind her, the soft footsteps of Krelna approached. Neither spoke for a long moment. Words felt too fragile to capture what had transpired. "We have survived the storm," Krelna finally said, voice low. "But survival is only the first step." Leah nodded. "The Dominion will not wait. They will strike harder now, sensing our weakness. And EarthCorp," their grip tightens. The Alliance had endured betrayals, sabotage, and open warfare not only with the Dominion but within its own ranks. Many lives had been lost. some to enemy fire, others to the poisoned seeds of distrust. Yet through it all a new foundation had been forged, one built on mutual respect and hard-won trust. The War Council convened once more, this time on the battered but resolute bridge. Leah, Krelna, General Ria Voss, and even the reluctant EarthCorp representative, Commander Celine Morrow, gathered around a holomap of the contested systems. Celine's presence was a reminder. The shadow of corporate greed still lurked, but now tempered by the knowledge that the future depended on cooperation. Our intelligence suggests the Dominion's next strike will target the mining colony on Epsilon Prime, Ria reported grimly. If they take it, they control the supply lines and starship resources. Leah's jaw tightened. Then we must be there first. Mobilize all available forces. As plans were made, Leah found herself drawn to Callum Lockhart, the young soldier whose journey from doubt to conviction had inspired many. In a quiet corner of the ship's medbay, she spoke with him privately. "You've become a beacon for others," she said. "Your courage changed this crew." Callum looked away, haunted by memories. "I lost friends. I was angry. But this is bigger than any one person. It's about who we choose to be." "Do you believe we can win?" Leah asked softly. "We have to," he replied. "For everyone who can't fight." The Alliance prepared for the decisive battle ahead, but fate had one last trial in store. Just as the fleet approached Epsilon Prime, Dominion warships emerged from a hidden warp gate, a massive armada, far greater than anyone had anticipated. The suddenness of the attack caught the Allied fleet off guard. The battle that followed was fierce and desperate. The Celestial Dawn took the brunt of the assault, shields failing under relentless bombardment. Fires spread, alarms screamed, and chaos threatened to consume all. In the heat of the fight, Leah received a distress call from the colony itself. Dominion ground forces were landing, overwhelming defenses. Krelna and Leah made a fateful decision. They would lead a daring strike team to the surface, risking everything to turn the tide. The descent was perilous. Explosions rocked their dropship as Dominion soldiers closed in. On the ground, Leah witnessed the toll of war. Scorched landscapes, shattered habitats terrified civilians. The stakes were no longer abstract. They were real. Together with Krivna warriors and human soldiers, Leah fought through enemy lines, pushing toward the colony's command center. In a climactic confrontation, they faced the Dominion's local commander, a brutal strategist determined to crush the rebellion. The battle was brutal and personal. Leah took a wound, a searing pain that threatened to overwhelm her, but she pressed on. With a final, desperate effort, the Allied team sabotaged the Dominion's communications array, severing reinforcements and turning the tide. Back in orbit, the Allied fleet rallied. The Dominion armada, now isolated and vulnerable, began to falter. Victory came at a high cost. Many brave souls were lost and the colony lay in ruins. But the heart of the rebellion, hope, remained. As Leah recovered in the medbay, Krelna stood vigil beside her. "You led us through darkness," he said. "Together, we have shown what unity can achieve." Leah's gaze was steady. "This war will not end with a single battle, but the dawn is coming. A new era." The Alliance was no longer just a fragile pact. It was a movement, one that embraced humanity's indomitable spirit and the power of true cooperation. Outside, the stars continued to shine, distant, ancient witnesses to the endless struggle for survival and hope. And for the first time in a long while, the future seemed bright.